You know what drives me absolutely insane? Watching someone drop $500 into cryptocurrency while carrying $8,000 in credit card debt at 22% interest. It is like watching someone try to fill a swimming pool while the drain is wide open and they're standing there wondering why the water level isn't rising. But here is the thing that really gets me. This isn't some rare occurrence. This is literally millions of Americans right now, convinced they're building wealth while simultaneously lighting their money on fire. My name is Leo, and I've spent way too much time watching people make the same devastating financial mistakes over and over again. Today, we're going to talk about the optimal order for investing your money and why getting this sequence wrong is probably costing you more than you make in a year. I know that sounds dramatic, but stick with me here because the math on this is absolutely wild. Let's start with a reality check that is going to hurt. According to recent data, 1 in 3 Americans has exactly $0 saved for retirement. Zero. The median emergency fund in this country is $500. That is it. $500. That is less than most people's car payment, less than a broken transmission, less than a single emergency room visit. But you know what these same people are doing? They're on Reddit arguing about whether they should buy Tesla stock or invest in some new cryptocurrency that promises to revolutionize everything. They're debating individual stocks versus index funds when they can't even afford to fix their car if it breaks down tomorrow. Here is what nobody wants to hear. There is an optimal order for investing your money that can literally save you hundreds of thousands of dollars over your lifetime. It is not sexy. It is not exciting. It won't make you feel like a genius when you're talking to your friends at happy hour, but it works. And the people who ignore this sequence are the same people who end up working until they re-75 because they never built a proper foundation. Think about it. Like building a house. You wouldn't start by picking out granite countertops and fancy light fixtures if your foundation was cracked and your roof was leaking, right? Yet, that is exactly what people do with their finances. They get excited about the shiny stuff, the individual stocks, the crypto, the day trading, while their financial foundation is literally crumbling beneath them. The opportunity cost here is massive. Every single month, you delay paying off debt that is charging you 22% interest. Is a month you are losing a guaranteed 22% return. And you know what is really funny? You can't find that kind of guaranteed return anywhere else in the investing world. Not in stocks, not in real estate, nowhere. Before you invest a single dollar anywhere, and I mean anywhere, you need an emergency fund. I know how this sounds. Boring, unsexy, not worth posting about on social media. One of the comments I saw really hit home. First, 100%. Save your emergency fund. I did not do that. And now I am dipping into my investments for a second time. You see that? What? This person learned the hard way. They skipped the boring stuff, went straight to investing, and now they're raiding their investment accounts every time life happens. That is not building wealth. That is running on a financial hamster wheel. An emergency fund isn't just about having money for unexpected expenses, though that is obviously important. It is a financial firewall that prevents you from making catastrophic decisions. When life inevitably punches you in the face, when your car breaks down, or you face an unexpected medical bill, having an emergency fund means you don't have to sell your investments at the worst possible time or rack up high interest debt. It is the difference between handling a crisis and having a crisis handle you. Now, how much should you save? The traditional advice is 3 to 6 months of living expenses, which is such a broad range. It is basically useless. If you've got a stable job and a strong support network, maybe 3 months works. If you're a freelancer in a volatile industry with no safety net, you might need 6 months or more. Here is what I recommend. Start with $1,000. That covers most minor emergencies and gives you a psychological win. Then build toward 3 months of expenses. And here is something interesting that people don't talk about. Some folks are putting their emergency funds in FDIC insured high yield savings accounts earning 4% interest. One commenter mentioned, "I put my emergency fund in FDIC insured high yield savings account. I get 4% just sitting there." That is smart. Your emergency fund doesn't need to be in some zero interest checking account. Make it work for you, even if it is just earning a few percent. But here is the key point that people miss. Regular bank savings accounts pay way less than the inflation rate. So you're actually losing purchasing power. That is why you need to be strategic about where you park this money, not in the stock market, where it could drop 30% right when you need it, but not in some account earning 0.1% either. Once you've got that emergency fund locked down, here is what comes next. And this is where most people completely mess this up. You need to eliminate all high interest debt. Period. End of story. No exceptions. When I say high interest debt, I'm talking about anything charging you more than about 8% annually, though honestly, in today's environment, even that is generous. Credit card debt is the obvious villain here. The average interest rate is over 22%. Think about that for a second. 22%. If you could find an investment that guaranteed you a 22% return every single year, you'd be the richest person on earth. But here is the thing. Paying off that credit card debt gives you exactly that return. It is guaranteed. It is risk-free. And yet, people are carrying credit card balances while simultaneously dumping money into the stock market. As one commenter perfectly put it, people who invest while paying 22% interest on credit cards can't do math. And you know what? They're absolutely right. Let me put this in perspective that might actually sink in. If we got $5,000 in credit card debt at 22% interest and you're making minimum payments, it is going to take you over 10 years to pay it off. 10 years. And you'll pay thousands upon thousands in interest. By aggressively paying it off, instead, you are essentially earning a guaranteed 22% return, which is better than Warren Buffett's long-term average, better than any hedge fund, better than any hot stock tip your brother-in-law gave you at Thanksgiving. The strategy here is straightforward, though most people won't follow it because it requires discipline. List all your debts with their interest rates. Pay the minimums on everything. Then throw every extra dollar you have at the debt with the highest interest rate. This is called the debt avalanche method. And while some people prefer the debt snowball method for the psychological wins, the avalanche saves you more money. And isn't that the whole point? Now, here is where it gets interesting. There is one major exception to the pay off all high interest debt first rule, and it is so powerful that it actually becomes step 3 in our optimal investment order. If your employer offers matching contributions to your retirement plan, you need to contribute enough to get the full match, even before you finish paying off that credit card debt. This might seem counterintuitive, but the math is undeniable. Employer matching is a guaranteed 100% return on your investment up to the match limit. Let that sink in for a second. A guaranteed 100% return. There is literally no other investment on earth that offers that. Even if you are carrying credit card debt at 22%, a 100% return beats it every time. It is not even close. Think about it like this. Your employer has a pile of free money sitting on the table, and all you have to do is contribute your share to claim it. Walking past that free money because you want to pay off debt slightly faster is like seeing a $100 bill on the ground and just walking past it because you're in a hurry. It makes no sense. Here is a typical example. Your company matches 50 cents for every dollar you contribute, up to 6% of your salary. If you make $50,000 a year, that means contributing $3,000 to get the full $1,500 match. That is a free $1,500, plus whatever your investments earn over time. The key here is to contribute just enough to get the full match. Then redirect all your extra money back to paying off that high interest debt. Once the debt is gone, you can crank up your retirement contributions. After you've tackled the emergency fund, eliminated high interest debt, and grabbed that employer match. Here is where most people go wrong. They think they should just max out their 401k and call it a day. Wrong. Your next move should be maxing out an individual retirement account. And here is why. Control and cost. Your IRA gives you far more investment choices and typically has much lower fees than your employer. Sponsored 401k. Those fees might not sound like much, but they're like termites in a wooden house. They slowly eat away at your returns over time. In an IRA, you can invest in low-cost index funds that charge fees of just a few basis points instead of the 1 to 2% fees common in many 401k plans. Over decades, those fee differences can add up to tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. It is the difference between keeping your money and slowly feeding it to fund managers who drive nicer cars than you do. For 2024, the contribution limit is $7,000 or $8,000 if you are 50 or older. Once you've maxed that out, then you can go back to your 401k and start contributing beyond the match. Now, here is the question that keeps people up at night. Should you use a traditional or Roth IRA? The choice can literally save you tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes over your lifetime. Traditional accounts give you a tax deduction now, but you pay taxes on withdrawals in retirement. Roth accounts make you pay taxes up front. But then all your withdrawals in retirement are completely tax-free. The conventional wisdom says if you're in a high tax bracket and expect to be in a lower one in retirement, choose traditional. If you're in a low bracket now, but expect to be in a higher one later, choose Roth. The problem is that predicting future tax rates is about as reliable as predicting the weather 3 months from now. Generally, Roth accounts are great for young people starting their careers because they're likely in their lowest earning years. Traditional accounts can be better for high earners hitting their peak income years. But honestly, if you're not sure, hedge your bets and contribute to both. This next step is my favorite secret weapon in American investing, the Health Savings Account, or HSA. This thing is like a retirement account on steroids, offering not one, not two, but 3 different tax benefits that make it absolutely incredible for the right people. First, you get a tax deduction for contributions, just like a traditional IRA. Second, your money grows tax-free while invested. And here is the kicker. Withdrawals for qualified medical expenses are also completely tax-free. That is the triple tax advantage. Tax-free going in, tax-free while it grows, and tax-free coming out. No other account offers this. Not your 401k, not your ISA, nothing. One commenter mentioned something brilliant. My HSA has a cash side and an investment side. Earns me about 30% annually. Now, I don't know their exact situation, but this highlights the power of investing your HSA funds rather than just leaving them in cash. The pro-level strategy is to pay for your current medical expenses out of pocket. If you can afford to, and let your HSA money stay invested in the market. Keep all your receipts. You could pay for a doctor visit today. Keep the receipt and reimburse yourself from your HSA 20 years from now, tax-free. The catch is you need a high deductible health plan to be eligible for an HSA, which isn't right for everyone. But if you're relatively young, healthy, and don't have significant medical expenses, an HDHP paired with an HSA can be incredibly powerful. After age 65, HSAs become even more flexible. You can withdraw money for any purpose, though you'll pay income tax on non-medical withdrawals. But medical expenses in retirement are essentially guaranteed. So having a dedicated tax-free bucket specifically for healthcare costs is like having a secret weapon. After you've gotten the employer match, maxed your IRA, and maxed your HSA, now you go back and max out your 401k contributions beyond the match. The 2024 contribution limit is $23,000 for most people, or $30,500 if you are 50 or older. At this point, you're really cooking with gas from a tax perspective. Between your EIRA, HSA, and 401k, you could potentially shelter over $35,000 annually from current taxation. Here is something that might surprise you. Most people never get this far. The average American contributes just 7% of their income to their 401k, which usually isn't enough to max it out, let alone everything else. But if you're one of those rare people who can max out all these accounts, congratulations. You are already in the top 5% of savers in America, and you're setting yourself up for a retirement that most people can only dream about. I saw a comment from a 19-year-old in Sweden. I am a soon-to-be 19-year-old Swede. I have about $13,000 in emergency fund and invest about $1,000 every month. This kid gets it. At 19, they've already built a solid emergency fund and they're investing consistently. That is the power of starting early and following the right sequence. Only after you've maxed out every single tax-advantaged option should you even think about taxable investment accounts. This is the step everyone wants to start with, and it should literally be your last resort. Why? Because taxable accounts get hit with taxes at every turn. Every dividend payment gets taxed. Every time you sell for a gain, you owe capital gains tax. It is like trying to run a race while someone keeps throwing sand in your shoes. The tax inefficiency of taxable accounts versus retirement accounts is staggering. Let's say you invest $10,000 annually for 30 years at 7% returns. In a tax-advantaged account, you end up with about $944,000. In a taxable account, assuming 15% tax on dividends and capital gains, you end up closer to $700,000. That is nearly $250,000 difference just from tax drag. So why use taxable accounts at all? Maybe you want to retire early before you can access retirement accounts without penalty. Maybe you're saving for a non-retirement goal, but don't fool yourself into thinking you're being smart by jumping straight to taxable accounts when you haven't maxed out your tax advantaged options. I keep seeing comments like, seeking beginner platforms. In what way can I start investing this 2025 as a beginner and be successful with more or less than 5K? And you know what? That is the wrong question. The question isn't which platform to use. It is whether you should be investing at all yet, or whether you need to build that emergency fund first and eliminate that debt. Here is the optimal order. And I'm going to make this crystal clear because this is literally the roadmap to building serious wealth. Emergency fund, at least $1,000. Ideally, 3 to 6 months of expenses. Then high interest debt, anything over 8%, especially credit cards. Then employer match, free money, take it. Then max out IRA, $7,000 annually. Then max out HSA, if eligible. Then max out 401k beyond the match, $23,000 annually. And finally, taxable investment accounts. Follow this sequence, and you'll be building wealth on a rock-solid foundation. It might not be as sexy as betting on the next Tesla or jumping into some meme stock that is trending on social media. It won't give you stories to tell at parties about how you made 300% on some crypto trade, but your future self, the one who is retired comfortably at 60, instead of working at 75, is going to thank you for doing the boring stuff first. The people who get rich quick are the exception, not the rule. People who build lasting wealth are the ones who follow the boring, proven path. They're the ones who prioritize the emergency fund over the exciting investment. They're the ones who understand that paying off 22% interest debt is better than chasing 10% stock market returns. They're the ones who maximize every tax-advantaged dollar before they even think about taxable accounts. So, stop trying to be a genius. Stop thinking you're going to outsmart the market. Start with step 1. Work your way down the list and watch your wealth compound over time while everyone else is still arguing about whether Bitcoin is going to the moon. That is how you actually build wealth. That is how you actually win this game. Everything else is just noise.